Belarusian village of Stankevich lie the remains of a once thriving farm. In 1941, this land and the family who tended it gave rise to a remarkable story of Holocaust resistance. That family's name was Bielski.
Stankevich had about 12 or 13 families. We were the only Jews. We lived in a Gentile world, a Gentile area. And it wasn't so easy, so simple for a Jewish family to be in a Gentile world.
Aaron was the youngest of 11 siblings. Anti-Semitism was rampant throughout Belarusia, but from an early age, his older brothers, particularly Sus, Asoil, and Tuvia, learned to defend themselves and developed a fearsome reputation.
For miles, for maybe 25, 30 miles away, they were known. Don't start with those fellas because you're gonna lose. The war started the 22nd of June, 1941. And that's actually, for my family, for our family, that's when the Holocaust started.
The Luftwaffe pummeled key targets in the Soviet Union, which at the time included Western Belarusia. Within days, the Bielskis region was occupied by German troops. More vulnerable than ever, Sus and Asoil Bielski decided to flee and take refuge in the dense forest surrounding their farm.
They knew the forest as well as you know your 5 fingers. And they went to the woods right away because my father told them, the war is not forever, it will come to an end. Germans will lose.
For several weeks, the Bielski family supported Sus and Asoil as they hid in the forest. But in August of 1941, the local pro-Nazi police paid a visit to the Bielski farmhouse. Sus and Asoil had been listed as missing, and the police were determined to capture them.
One of the policemen, local policemen, he came with Germans, put my father against the wall outside, and he took his rifle and broke his ribs. And he had to lay in bed. Could not walk, that much was beat up from him.
For Jews living in the nearby cities of Lida and Novogrudek, life under Nazi occupation was no less difficult.
Our life didn't mean anything. We were like animals, more than an animal. An animal can walk on the sidewalk. A Jew couldn't walk. Every day got worse and worse and worse and worse. Every single day.
They were typical murderous Nazis. They were playing with their German Shepherd. There's a Jew book. They used to send out the dog to rip him apart and to scare him. That was like, to them, a Jew was like a little a play ball.
Every single day, somebody was missing. Somebody was killed. They never came home back from work. We knew that there is no tomorrow.
Every moment they were shooting. That's all we heard is shooting, shooting, shooting. Not because anything, just because they were Jews.
But the indiscriminate shootings soon gave way to organized mass slaughter. On December 8, 1941, German officials in Novogrudek rounded up more than 6,000 Jews and began the ruthless process of selection.
One to the left, one to the right. One to the left, to the right. To the right, it was to live. To the left, to die.
Those selected for death, totaling more than 5,000 people, were driven to the outskirts of town, where a large pit had been prepared in advance.
It was a big grave, very long one. And all these people they told to get into, and they were shooting. The people that they got the bullet, they were lucky. But the one who didn't had to die, to suffocate, buried alive. The Gentile people that they lived around, they saw the ground was moving. It was constantly moving and moving. Took them more than a week to die.
The Bielski's parents were among those who perished. Zeus also lost his wife and infant daughter. Tuvia Bielski was living in Lida. He had obtained false papers and could pass as a Gentile. But as conditions worsened, he decided to return to Stankiewicz and search for his brothers.
I said to myself, more in the city, I have nothing to do. I'm going to the woods. I will go back where I've been born. There I know the places. From there, we will see, maybe I'll find it somebody.
In the winter of 1941, Tuvia trekked home through the forest. Before long, he located his brothers, Zeus and Asoil.
So he wore the three brothers together. When those three were together and you were in their company, you would feel that you have an army behind you.
They didn't think they would survive the war, but they wanted to die fighting. They wanted to live to the last minute and be free.
By early 1942, the Bielskis managed to relocate more than a dozen people, mostly relatives, to the forest. There, they began to collaborate with Russian guerrilla fighters known as partisans, who also sought refuge in the dense woods. By March, the brothers began staging dangerous ambush missions against German supply convoys and local Nazi collaborators. With each successful operation, their stockpile of weapons grew.
My brothers had plenty of guns, machine guns, you name it. Without a rifle, you're nothing. You're worthless. You're just waiting for death any minute, any second.
My father brought my mother a revolver as a gift, which was for her the symbol of whatever any young woman wants in a marriage. This was for her the means to stay alive or to kill herself or to die fighting. It meant that she would never, ever fall into the hands of the Germans.
By May of 1942, the Bielski group had grown to include more than 20 people.
And we saw that we need organization. So they made a meeting, and being that Tevye is the oldest of them, and my husband, he said, I would suggest Tevye for the commander. And everybody applauded. Everybody said yes.
From the start, Tuvia ordered that the group's primary objective would be to rescue other Jews and offer them refuge in the forest. News of this soon reached the Lida and Novogrudok ghettos.
Tevye was a hero to everybody. He said, if there will be one piece of bread, I'll share with anybody that will come. And everybody should come and they will find a place here.
He knew the value of life. Tuvia knew that killing 1 or 10 or 30 or 40 or 100 Germans was, in the scope of things, meaningless. But to save one Jew was an affront to the Germans. It was more meaningful, whether they were an old lady or an old man or a young child. It had more meaning to rescue than to kill.
In August of 1942, the Bielski brothers began to sneak letters and messengers into the Lida and Novogrudok ghettos, pleading with Jews to join them in the forest.
And we heard that if